Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys game number 2 of this best of 9 show match between Quantic Gaming's Hyun, who is in the bottom left-hand corner, the blue Zerg player. His opponent is, of course, none other than the granddaddy, Grandpa Protoss himself. I feel bad calling him that. I always imagine him as an old man, but he's really just a few years older than me. He is, of course, tt.WhiteRa, and it is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. The first game of this set showcase an amazing Sky Protoss build from the red Protoss.WhiteRa, and I mentioned this at the end of the cast. This is something that a lot of Protoss players have been doing against Zerg now. That late game macro based into carrier strategy against Protoss is proving to be very, very difficult. And it's not something that is easily countered either. You might imagine, hey, if Hyun had gone for Infestors earlier on, he might have had a better shot because he would have been able to chain Fungal much better, much longer for a longer prolonged period of time. But the reality is once the Protoss goes into Sky Protoss and Hyun counters with Infestors, then WhiteRa will just add on the Templar, and the Templar can feedback. On top of that, even if you're dealing with Infestors, the Interceptors are actually pretty damn good against them because the range of the carrier to the Infestor, I believe, is slightly longer than the range of a Fungal Growth hitting the carriers. So if you can get your Interceptors out there and they're flying around, they don't get. It's pretty hard to hit them with Fungal because you got to make a decision. Do I Fungal the Interceptors or do I Fungal the carriers? And usually you're going to want to Fungal the carriers. So that means the Interceptors are flying around the place and they're taking out your Infestors. So it's pretty hard to stop that type of composition, and Zerg haven't really nailed it down yet. So we'll see what Hyun comes up with here. Now this map, Star Station, is a massive Protoss homeworld. It should make WhiteRa feel right at home, obviously, but given the fact that they have cross spawn as well, I would not be surprised to see WhiteRa go right into that same exact strategy that he did last game. Double expand, get the double Stargate, and then go right into the sky with some early oracles for harassing, and then switching over to carriers as soon as possible. It's very hard for Zerg to stop, and we'll see it. You know, Hyun's aware now. He knows this strategy is possible. What will he come up with in terms of a counter defense? Will he fall 2 games in a row? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself real quick because that is obviously very annoying. So there it is, and WhiteRa actually this time around is going to be throwing a Forge Gateway and 2 gateways at the front door instead of going for a Cybernetics core, which is what you would normally expect. You'd usually want to see a Gateway, a Forge, and a core right here, and then walled off with the final Zealot. But instead, he's gone with a double gateway opening, and obviously this is going to be scouted by Hyun. Hyun is not going to be able to get into the natural like he was last game, but he will see the double gateway. And anytime as Zerg, if you see a double gateway out there at the front, you gotta be really careful, because some Protoss players, Kiwi Kaki actually comes to mind, loves to do this kind of 6 Zealot attack when you least expect it, and you know, they just build up like 6 zealots, 3 out of each of these gateways, and then they just come and attack you on the ground. So it's something you have to be very wary of if you're a Zerg player. And you know, if you see 2 gateways out there, you've got to shore up extra defenses. Typically I like to throw up a spine crawler just for safety's sake. I also like to leave a Zergling out here, which is exactly what Hyun is doing, so he can see, he can dart in and see how many zealots there are. And on top of that, he's actually getting a Roach Warren too, which is actually a pretty good idea. Just in case there are zealots coming, roaches are obviously the hard counter to that. So very, very nice ideas coming out of Quantic's Hyun here, which is just really just smart game planning in general. He is running back in with the Zergling one more time. He didn't see the zealots coming up, but now he will see it, as 2 are on the way, along with the probe as well. And this usually signifies that WhiteRa is planning to do some type of a proxy pylon potentially, but back at home he doesn't have Warp Gate researched yet, so there wouldn't be really any reason to throw down a pylon, as Warp Gate has not even begun yet. And I'm not too sure why WhiteRa hasn't started Warp Gate research yet. This has got to be a mistake. He must have forgotten about it, because this is like one of the most critical upgrades in StarCraft 2 for Protoss. You never ever want to delay Warp Gate unless you're not going with ground units at all. I'm not too sure what WhiteRa is planning to do right now, but his probe is obviously not going to be able to make use of any proxy pylon. And here come 2 Zealots and 2 Stalkers. Unfortunately, there are a lot of Zerglings here, and I don't know if WhiteRa will be able to hang on. He is going to lose the Zealots, but looks like he has just enough Stalkers to push the Zerglings back home. And now Roaches are going to be called into production from Hyun so that he can hold off a potential Stalker-based attack. Mothership Core is also coming in as well, and this is nice to see. You know, in the gameplay of StarCraft 2 right now, you do see a lot more aggression in the early game, and that's because you've got this Mothership Core, you've got early Burrow, you've got, you know, Widow Mines and Reapers and all that good stuff. So WhiteRa actually now is going to pull back. He is not going to try to be aggressive, but still does not have Warp Gate researched yet. I am utterly confused right now as to why WhiteRa has not started Warp Gate at this moment. It is 8 minutes and 22 seconds in. He does have a robotic support bay coming, so obviously not going to be seeing the Sky Protoss build. This time he's going to go for Colossus, but now he starts Warp Gate research. All right, that is interesting. So very, very late Warp Gate research, and I gotta feel like that's a mistake. I mean, that can't be intentional. Why wouldn't you get Warp Gate right away? It's the cheapest upgrade of all, and it probably has the most significant impact for any race. From a cost to ratio standpoint. Now look at this. It looks like Hyun is going to be going for Swarm Hosts. He's researching Evolve Enduring Locust, and he might be thinking about making an attack. Now this is where not having Warp Gate is really going to bite WhiteRa in the proverbial butt. He is not going to be able to have enough forces, I don't think, to defend, so he has to warp in Photon Cannons on the high ground, and that also hurts as well, man. I mean, nobody really wants to make Photon Cannons right there. It's you know, it's only there for this purpose only, which is saving your butt at this moment in the game, but you really don't want to be making Photon Cannons there. And look at this, Hyun is actually pooping creep and making spine crawlers in the middle of the map. It looks like Hyun wants to prepare to do a contain against WhiteRa, a Zerg contain. And I mean, it's not very often you see Zerg try to attempt a contain. This brings me back to the days of Brood War, when Zerg used to do lurker contains. Now you can do swarm host contains, and he's even taking the liberty to throw down a couple of crawlers and spread out his creep. He's already, you know, he walked the queens all the way from his home out here. I mean, that took forever, obviously, so he is very much committed to this ploy, and he's kept the Mothership Core away from the base of operations, so WhiteRa really has no idea this is happening. Now he does, though. He sees it with his Phoenix, and he cannot be happy with what is occurring outside the front door of his natural expansion. He will need his Colossus more than ever now in order to push this contain away. But Hyun is preparing to set ground. He's got Swarm Hosts, he's going to burrow them in position. Evolve Enduring Locust essentially extends the range of the Locusts. And here we go, man. The Zerg contain is in progress. And what is WhiteRa going to be able to do about this? He doesn't even have extended thermal lance yet. Oh my goodness. I don't know if WhiteRa is even going to be able to come out of this situation alive. This is going to have to take every ounce of skill and experience that he's got in order to pull out of this situation. We'll see if he can do it. A couple of force fields coming down here, not the best, but they do keep the Locusts away from the Photon Cannons and the Protoss army. So that is, of course, helpful. And this is where the cannons, I guess, do end up being pretty helpful. But you can see the Locusts, man, they are going to continue their barrage. They actually just ended up killing a Stalker for free. And look at this! WhiteRa is actually going to ninja expand. He somehow snuck a probe down to the 5 o'clock. And he got a Nexus out there. Oh, wow, that is incredible. Now, I don't, this is going to be the last place Hyun ever looks for an expansion, so I don't think Hyun will ever sniff this out. Meanwhile, he's got a Phoenix that he's got to worry about, which is kind of taking out his overlords, so he'll need to get a queen out there, since most of his queens are obviously on the offensive right now. Not something you see every day, but there you have it. The front door is starting to go down, and WhiteRa right now is under a lot of pressure. Is he going to be able to survive this onslaught from the Korean pro? Hyun is pushing and pushing and pushing, and this is just a constant barrage of swarm hosts, man. This is not looking good. Now, It looks like the next round of Locusts are coming in. There goes another Stalker, and every time this happens, it's a free unit for nothing at all. But look at this. WhiteRa is also using proxy pylons to be aggressive. He knows right now the best way to get out of this sticky situation is not to play turtle defense. He needs to be aggressive and try to draw some of Hyun's attention back home. Now these Zealots are going to be able to do a little bit of damage, but they need an Observer here in order to see the Swarm Host. Without an Observer, he can't do anything. Now WhiteRa does have extended thermal land, so this is going to help immensely. He's going to be able to use the ramp to his advantage and start to laser down some of these buildings. Hopefully he's got an Observer nearby so you can see the burrowed Swarm Host as well. I do believe there's an Observer somewhere around here. I mean, there just has to be. And you can see WhiteRa actually with extended thermal lands now is starting to laser things down. Oh, he loses the Colossus to Queens though. I don't know which brave queen got that kill. I think it was this one right here. Very nice job by WhiteRa to kill off the by Hyun to kill off that Colossus. And you know, that is his greatest threat right now. He doesn't want to let WhiteRa build up a large Colossus number, because if a lot of Colossus come out, then this contain is pretty much absolutely screwed. So if you can keep the Colossus count down, then he might be able to continue containing WhiteRa into the top right-hand corner, but little does he know there is an expansion down here. Meanwhile, Zealots have somehow found their way into the main base. Hyun is in a little bit of trouble here. No drones have gone down this game, nor probes, surprisingly. But in terms of units lost, the Protoss has been losing a considerable amount compared to the Zerg, and that's just due to the raw nature of the beast that is the Swarm Host. It is a free unit, does not tack onto the resources lost tab, and everything that WhiteRa loses adds on to this continuing graph here in the top left-hand corner. A lot of Swarm Hosts now on the field. In fact, there are 27 Swarm Hosts in total, and WhiteRa somehow, someway is still able to make a hold here. He does have mining operations beginning now down at the bottom right-hand corner, and honestly, this is WhiteRa's lifeblood right now. If it were not for this expansion, I don't think WhiteRa would be able to produce the Colossus he needs in order to stay in this game. He desperately needs that gas. You can see right now his gas count is abysmally low, as is the enemy Zergs, but WhiteRa is in much dire straits right now, much more dire straits than Hyun is, because of the amount of pressure that is being applied by this constant swarm of Locusts. And WhiteRa here just, I mean, he's relying on his Colossus and Colossus only to keep him alive. He's got 4 Colossus here. I mean, they have an obscene number of kills, of course, but will it be enough? The front door has been breached. The front door has been breached. Intruders alert. Intruder alert. And WhiteRa right now is in the, oh my god, amount of trouble. He got another Colossus, so he needs to save this Colossus. Oh no! WhiteRa loses the Colossus that comes out of the Robo Bay, and Hyun is gonna really be putting the pressure on now, man. He's continuing to press forward, forcing a couple of force fields to come out. Still, this base has not been discovered by the Zerg player, which is obviously a big problem, but it's not a big deal if he can win the game right now. He's continuing to press in. It looks like he's going to push the Protoss army up the ramp. Territory has been conceded, and now the natural expansion in a lot of trouble. But WhiteRa recalls! WhiteRa recalls! He brings his whole army down to the bottom right-hand corner, apparently to kill off an Overseer or something. So now Hyun is aware of the base down there, and I guess WhiteRa is going to make an attack. WhiteRa is going to go for a base race here. He's going to give up the entire main base in order to try to kill off the Zerg base. This is an incredible game of StarCraft 2. I don't know how this is going to go down. Will WhiteRa actually be able to pull this off? He's lost, in fact, he's actually killed off 26, excuse me, no, he's lost 26 probes, most of that being at the natural expansion, and it looks like he might lose more workers as well, as now the Swarm Hosts are starting to attack this location, but WhiteRa is going to rely on his Colossus army here to take out what remains of the Zerg at the natural expansion, so he's going to at least take out one base here. I hope there is an observer in this army somewhere. If WhiteRa does not have an observer, I'm looking at the units tab, he doesn't have an observer anywhere in his units tab, so that is a problem. He will need some form of detection in order to be able to see the Swarm Host, and right now he does have a robotics facility, but he's using it to make Colossus, not observer. The next unit coming out is an observer. Meanwhile, this Nexus in the bottom right hand corner taking a lot of damage, and here comes the Swarm Host army, baby. Whoa, WhiteRa is in a lot of trouble right now, but luckily for him, Colossus can walk up and down cliffs. Thank goodness for that kinetic IK machinery, whatever, doesn't Browder called it. But right now, WhiteRa is going to need it. He's going to need to go down this cliff and get the hell out of here. Will he go? Will he go? There are a bunch of spore crawlers here as well. Hyun with the ultimate defense. Sure, why not? Spores are actually more effective against Colossus than spines are, but the entire army has been recalled home, in fact, to a new nexus over here in the bottom right-hand corner. Wow. This game is out of control. And WhiteRa right now, I mean, literally, he's only got 2 bases, but he's actually not that far down in supply against Hyun. Hyun's only got 2 bases as well, and Hyun is only ahead by about 30 or 40 supply, but the thing is, Hyun has 33 swarm hosts. WhiteRa needs an observer right now more than ever in order to see this army. It looks like he has an observer. Observer has arrived, and now Hyun's starting to lose some swarm hosts. He needs to get out of there. He doesn't want to lose all these swarm hosts. Prismatic alignment is doing a ton of damage to these swarm hosts, and a bunch of them are going down. Hyun's got to pull out, but he realizes just a little too late, and he lost about half of his army right there, now down to only 22 swarm hosts. Meanwhile, at the front door of WhiteRa's natural expansion, the onslaught continues, but WhiteRa somehow, someway, he keeps his main base alive, and I think the reason why is because Hyun pulled out most of his army in order to defend his own natural expansion rather than going for the full-on base trade. He did pull back in order to save his main base, realizing that, hey, if I lose my main base and all my you know, real buildings here, I'm done for. I can't make any more units. So in a strange twist of sadistic fashion, this game has somewhat stabilized. I mean, look at the bases right now. WhiteRa still has a main. He's got another base down here in the bottom right-hand corner, and the Zerg is on 2 bases as well, with a bunch of spore crawlers as his defense matrix at home. There are a few Void Rays flying around hunting right now. It is apparently Swarm Host hunting season. It is on, and Hyun has got to get out of here, man. This is not good at all for his Swarm Host, and this is actually how WhiteRa, I think, is going to try to pull himself back into this game. He is actually narrowing the gap supply-wise, and then if he can continue to take out these Swarm Hosts, Hyun can offer no type of anti-air defense, and this is a big problem. His queens are not close or nearby. I don't think he even has any queens on the field. He has 2. Most of them, they are back home injecting, so they are not with the Swarm Hosts defending like they were originally in the contain play. But instead of using queens, Hyun is going to use spore crawlers. All right, so he's going to use spores in order to defend his Swarm Host army. Very intelligent play right here. And now he's going to try to pressure this base down. Will he be able to do it? Meanwhile, back over on the Protoss side at the natural expansion, creep tumors have prevented the building of a new nexus. But the probe says, I don't care. I'm going to go make a nexus over here. Unfortunately for him, unfortunately for Hyun, he has not told this Overlord to poop. I guess bowel movement time is not this time. And Hyun is going to go over to the bottom right here with these locusts, and he is going to take out this nexus. There's nothing WhiteRa can do, but he can recall these probes away. He can save the probes. Oh yeah, saves the probes, brings them back home. But WhiteRa now only has 1 base. He's trying to establish one right here, but he's got to get rid of these creep tumors. He's got to get his army over there, and I don't know where his Colossus are. It looks like they're in the middle of the map. Units lost right now, 18k to 15k. This is one of the craziest games I've ever seen in StarCraft 2. Who is going to take the victory? WhiteRa actually pulling ahead in supply here. Here comes the Swarm Host. They are burrowing down. There are no observers nearby. Where is the observer? It is coming on. It is coming. It is still a very long way away, and it looks like now the Swarm Hosts are going to run away, but one Phoenix is going to prevent that full HP Swarm Host from escaping, and so that poor guy is going to go down, flailing and all. And now the Swarm Host back up into the Spore Crawler grid, and that is enough to push and keep the Colossus away. So I think right now Hyun will probably want to hold his position, because at this spot and time he can take out this Nexus in the bottom right hand corner. Focus on taking out this Nexus first, and then worry about the other situations of the map. So now that this Nexus has gone down, you can go ahead and unburrow these Spore Crawlers and continue to escort these Swarm Hosts. There is another hatchery going up at the Pocket expansion, but Hyun's hatchery is under attack. WhiteRa is probably going to be able to take that down. Meanwhile, probes transferring over to the 12 o'clock. There is another base coming at the 11 o'clock as well. Yeah, good grief, this game is insane. I can't even like process what is going on quickly enough. I need an upgrade to my CPU. It's literally overloading with information right now. There's just too much going on. And here we go. Spore Crawlers are going to uproot, And it looks like they are going to go ahead. Oh, look at this. Hyun's got Hydralis. He's got Hydras. And the Hydras, they do have movement speed. They are getting groove spines. And Hydras could be the defining factor here. But then again, there are still 3 Colossus. So I don't know. Hydras against Colossus. I don't think this is enough Hydras to break that 3 trio, you know, Colossus army, and a 4th Colossus now is joining the fray. So yeah, I'm not sure if Hydras are going to be the answer here. He might need to rely on his Swarm Hosts. Where are his Swarm Hosts? His 5 Swarm Hosts need to group up. He needs to use both his Swarm Hosts and his Hydralis, and maybe even his Spore Crawlers in order to make this attack be effective. He needs to uproot these and bring them on the offensive. I'm not too sure why he isn't. But there you have it. It looks like one Swarm Host was actually in the back of the Protoss Natural. It was taken out. And now it looks like the Hydras using that as a diversion. They do take out the Nexus. Beautiful play by Hyun. He keeps WhiteRa down. Another base. And that was absolutely beautiful. Now these probes are actually in transit. He can pick off all these probes as well. Oh, it's a bait. It's a trap. And actually, if Hyun had went after those probes, I think he would have lost his entire army. So Hyun making the right decision there to escape rather than be greedy. He is now on a full-on retreating mission. He knows there's a base over here in the top left-hand corner. This game is insane. It is 28 minutes long, but it's been a low econ game the entire way. 15 workers to 20 right now. Literally, look at the worker counts. It is abysmally low, but it doesn't matter how many workers you have. It matters how much army you have right now. And here we go. This could be the final battle. I don't know if WhiteRa is going to lose, so I think Hyun's got enough. I think Hyun's, I mean, I don't think WhiteRa is going to lose. I think Hyun doesn't have enough Hydras. And, yeah, that's definitely going to be it. WhiteRa with way too many forces here. Look at the creep tumors that have spread into the interior of WhiteRa's base here, but he doesn't care. This is going to be the game. I think WhiteRa's got enough. He has somehow mounted the comeback of the century. He pulled off an amazing break of a contain, because remember guys, he was contained inside of his natural for essentially the entire game, and he was able to sneak off a base and then somehow, some way push his way out. I mean, the Mothership Core recalling the entire army to the bottom right hand corner was ingenious. It was brilliant, and it was also gutsy as hell, because that was literally, you know, make or break, and he used that to make an attack, and it worked beautifully. And now I think WhiteRa has game number 2 in his grasp. Haha, lol, GG, well played. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hyun loses the second game. WhiteRa is now up 2-0. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on to game 3. That was easily one of the best Protoss versus Zergs I've casted so far in my entire Heart of the Swarm casting career. So we're going to go on to game 3. Hope you guys enjoyed, and this is HD StarCraft. I am signing out.